Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that shaped how they see life, offering you daily doses of perspective and hope. Today's guest is Dr. Jeff Feinman, a veterinarian who beautifully bridges science and spirituality in his work. He spent over 4 decades learning to listen, not just to the animals he treats, but to the wisdom their symptoms whisper about healing and connection. Let's step into Jeff's world for a few minutes and hear the quote that has guided his journey toward deeper understanding. Tell us your name and what you do.
My name is Jeff Feinman, and I'm a veterinarian and a disruptor.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff, for accepting my invitation to be on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. What's your favorite quote, Jeff?
Oh, I've got a bunch. In fact, my book that's about to come out has dozens and dozens of quotes. Favorite would have to be one that isn't in the book because it guides my life and my work, and that is a quote from my uncle in 1975 when he was 75. Such is life, which we can translate nowadays to that's the way it is, this is the now, go with the flow, whatever or the improv version, yes, and because that to me is the essence of how we should be living with our animals.
In the when you fill the form, there's a particular quote you mentioned, and I would love for us to just talk about that. And that is embrace symptoms as if they are your friends.
That is the essence of go with the flow of such as life as it is. Symptoms are the body's way of telling you what's going on internally. And rather than just work to get rid of them, fight against them, we can use them as clues, as guides to get back to better balance. Of that, and we do that by going with the flow, which relates back to flow of energy in the body. And when it's balanced and smooth, there are no abnormal symptoms. So we want to embrace those symptoms as our guides.
Oh, okay. Can you would you be kind enough to share with me a specific scenario or story? It could be a personal moment or personal time, or it could be from your personal life or from where these quotes to embrace symptom, right? And that's it kind of paints the quotes and illustrates it. Yeah.
There are so many examples, that I'll bring it back to my work with animals. When I see any animal that has any symptom, then I usually, in fact, I just answered somebody's email today whose animal was manifesting new and more severe symptoms. And, my reply was, this is great because the stronger the body manifests or shows symptoms, the stronger the vital force, life force of that individual is. And it is the life force that allows the body to heal itself.
Okay. Because I feel like the quotes right now that you explain the quotes, it's making sense bit by bit. Well, I feel like a lot of persons would misinterpret the quotes. Say, when you say embrace symptoms, are you saying that if we have symptoms, we should just accept it the way they are? What are you saying, right? I know you explained it, and now I'm getting it, but I feel like that could be a misinterpretation from at first when someone just says the quote. What do you have to say about that?
It definitely could be, and that's why the quote was, such as life. We're interpreting it in the place of symptoms, but no, it's not accepting life. It's not accepting, your situation. It's not accepting the symptom. It is not being scared of, not fighting against the symptom, not fighting against the reality of the now. And we do that with our minds, that's why our mindset and our the way we approach life is really the key, because our minds, our thoughts, our emotions are strong energy to heal and balance or imbalance the body.
Yeah. Well, when I asked you the question, if you could share examples to illustrate the quotes, you mentioned that you have a lot, and you mentioned one, and I'm going to be like Oliver Twist, and I'm going to ask for more.
Sure. I mean, I'll give you as many as you want because the answer is always in, the individual, and every individual is going to have different symptoms, different manifestations. So, for example, there's a kitty cat that is peeing all over the place. Well, that is an abnormal symptom, but it's mentally, behaviorally, emotionally something that's really upsetting and triggering to us. And therefore, we need to use that situation as a growth and learning experience to shift our mindset, be able to embrace that symptom rather than fight against it.
Yeah, you mentioned during your intro, and just in case maybe my listener might have forget in this short while, that you're a veterinarian, right?
I am a veterinarian, conventionally trained veterinarian. I realized after about a decade of research in veterinary clinical medicine, realized that what they taught us in vet school was just part of the bigger picture. That the bigger picture involved things like, the true significance of symptoms, and the energy that enlivens the body.
What would you say? I know this question might be easy or hard. Well, it depends. Let me ask, and then you get to decide. And that is, of all your encounters with animals, what would you say are some of the encounters that have taught you lessons, right? That's that you still remember, that they stand out even to this day, and they taught you lessons.
Yeah, and after 40 years of being a veterinarian, there are many, many, but the one that stands out right now the most is Archie, my own dog.
Okay.
And if I may use my dog as an example, Archie was the essence of actually the approach that we teach at Holistic Actions and that I discuss in the book. He was a very, very happy dog. He was a rescue dog with a horrible abusive history, yet he was still happy because he was happy in the moment, not worried about what was going in the past. But what went on in the past made him more likely to get sick, and the story actually begins after a couple of years after we adopted him, when he was my baby boy. He started declining. He was a dog that was very food motivated, and his appetite started dwindling. And the blood test showed he's in end stage kidney failure. And although he stayed happy up until the end, he taught me a ton of things, such as focus on happiness, focus on balance, focus on life, and that the transition of the body wasn't something to be scared of. Rather, was just another part of life. Life and death are not opposites. That death is his transition was just a part of life. And that because we learn to focus on life energy, realize that life energy doesn't need to be in the body. It's all around us in all animals, all everything. That period that was you referred to back at the beginning about that relation between spirit and symptoms. Because symptoms are a result of the energy that our spiritual essence is equivalent to.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Oh, thanks for sharing that story about your dog and connecting everything to the.
You're welcome.
Uh, the quotes. I feel like even though I understand the quotes, it says, I'm just going to go through it. Embrace symptoms as if they're your friend, right? Can you paraphrase the quotes? Right? You've explained it to me. I understand. Every time I look at the quotes, what I think of is quite different from what you explain it to. What you explain to.
Well, why don't you tell me what you think
No,
of
I
then?
said it earlier on that the misinterpretation, and then you clarified, and yeah, I got it. That misinterpretation I told you at the beginning. When a lot of people will say, "Oh yeah, embrace symptoms as if they're." If are you saying if I see my symptoms, I should say, "Oh, I should just um be okay with them, not do anything about them, and all that." And you went on to explain and clarify it. And so what I'm thinking of, I'm looking at it and I'm like, shouldn't we paraphrase the quote or maybe add something to it so it's less subject to misinterpretation by people so that once people see it, they really get to understand what we want them to understand.
So, what would you add?
Okay, embrace symptoms as if they're your friends. That's let's see. Okay, from my understanding,
How about if the word guides instead of friends?
no, not the
Yeah.
friends part. Yeah. Uh, I'm stuck. Help me out here. I'm stuck. I'm looking at it now. I haven't understand. Embrace symptoms as if they're a friend. Okay, maybe it's my understanding of the word embrace. Yeah, that's where the issue is coming. Yeah. Yeah. From I understand embrace.
Except,
Yeah.
except might be a
Okay.
better word, yeah. Accept and go with the flow of the symptom. In other words, go with the flow of the situation. Don't fight against an abnormal symptom. By all means, do not ignore it and deal with it, but deal with it in a way that isn't based on just the external manifestations. Symptoms are a manifestation of a root problem. So when we get rid of the manifestation, if we take off the tip of the iceberg, the whole lower part the iceberg still exists, and the tip will regrow and it might even be bigger and scarier.
Yeah. So
So all that quote is meant to really say is look at the symptom, don't be afraid of the symptom, accept the symptom, don't ignore the symptom, but deal with the underlying cause for the symptom at the same time.
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, that is thanks for that clarification. It's very, very important. And I'm looking at the symptoms now. I see that symptoms compass, right? They're a mess, right? They're meant to show us to tell us something that oh, this other thing is wrong. And that's why I am here. And so it's not so if you're having the symptom, uh try to deal with no the symptom, the message, they compass to something else that is just other than the health, just to zoom out a bit in terms of life. When you say when I my understanding of the embrace symptom is simply I know we do have plans, right? I think there's this quote from Mike Tyson that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. We do have plan when life happens, right? When things happen, we should we should be in the moment and say, okay, what is happening and what do I need to do now? And instead of saying, oh, I had this lofty dream, I have this lofty idea, or this is the way it was before, and just be in the past or in out of the moment. Instead, we should be in the moment and say, okay, this has happened, this has happened, this is happened. Why? What's the way forward? What's the next?
Exactly. I mean that's really good thinking, and that's exactly what we try to walk you down in our roadmap to better wellness and health and balance. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Again, what do you do, and where can my listeners learn more about you? And do you have any resources that you made for my listeners so they can check it?
Sure, there's a ton of information about the method at the holisticactions.com website. And I'd love all your listeners to take our free 101 course that will give the foundation and the practical application, whether it's what you eat or how you play or how you are in your life with your animals. That free course will give you a foundation in the method that we're talking about, and it will also be in my Path to Pet Wellness book that's coming out shortly, and that you can grab the first 20 pages of. I can give you that link as well if you like.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll be sure to put the link in the show notes and in the description so my listeners can just click and go directly to the site. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.